Hello everyone, it's TopCrafter here, and in today's video we're going to be checking out some of the features that have been introduced in the 1.16 update so far. We are currently in snapshot 20W18A, so if anything does get introduced later on, I am going to talk about it in a future video. Having said that, let's get right into it. Starting off in the Nether, as a new biome was introduced. This is the Crimson Forest. It has its own warped variant, the Warped Forest. Then there's a Soul Sand Valley. It is the only biome to host this structure. It is the Nether fossil, and it is a really easy source of bone blocks, as lots of these spawn in these biomes. Next off, we have the Basalt Deltas. These are the only source for the Basalt block and the Blackstone block. It contains also a lot of magma blocks and a bit of lava pockets. This biome is home to the magma block. Right, those are the biomes showcased. Now for the structures. 3 new structures have been introduced, and one of them is the Nether fossil. The second one is the ruined portal. It can spawn both in the Nether and in the overworld dimension. It can sometimes contain loot chests. Size varies, and it can also contain gold blocks. The final structure is the Bastion Remnants. It is also the largest structure. There are different versions of this, and as you can see here, it is a really easy source of Blackstone, gold blocks, and loot chests. The chests can contain many different items. I couldn't find the loot tables for it. And it is the only place where this can spawn. It is the magma block spawner, and now the magma blocks magma block grinders are possible. This is one of the only places to have gilded blackstone. It can be mined with a pickaxe, and when smelted, it'll give you gold ore, gold ingots. If we pop back through to the overworld, we can start talking about blocks and new features added in the game. Starting off, we have the Nilam. There's 2 variants, the warped and crimson variants. They spawn in their respective forest biomes. If you can bone meal them. If you bone meal the warped Nilam, nether sprouts, warped roots, and warped fungus can grow, together with twisting vines. Twisting vines grow upwards, and you can climb them. You can also use them to break your falls. The warped fungus can be bone mealed up to turn into a tree. If we go on the crimson Nilam, on the other hand, we can bone meal it to grow crimson fungus, crimson roots, and when you bone meal the crimson fungus, it'll spawn in trees. The trees can spawn with weeping vines and shroom light. That is a super cool looking light source. Next up, we have 2 new wood variants, the crimson and warped stems. They're obtained by bone mealing the respective fungus. And once they're grown, on top, it'll grow either with nether wart blocks or warped wart blocks. They can be all turned into planks, hyphae, that is the equivalent to wood. Wood with texture on all 6 sides. The hyphae can be stripped down into stripped hyphae, and the stems can be stripped too. The planks can be turned into pressure plates, fences, trapdoors, fence gates, stairs, buttons, doors, signs, and slabs. The same thing goes for the warped stems. The tool of choice for the warped wart blocks and nether wart blocks is the hoe. Moving swiftly on from that, we have soul sand and soul soil. They both spawn in the respective biome in the Soul Sand Valley biome. And something cool about the Soul Soil is it can be lit up to turn fire blue. That's why it can be crafted into torches with this recipe, lanterns with this recipe, and campfires with this recipe. And yes, the campfire can be used to cook food. There is no time difference in the cooking. Next up, from the Basalt Deltas, we have Basalt, and if you use it in a stone cutter, you can polish it to polish Basalt. They don't have any uses, they're just for decoration. On the other hand, we have another block, the Black Stone. It can be polished in a stone cutter to be turned into polished blackstone that can be turned into polished blackstone bricks. The polished blackstone bricks can be smelted into cracked bricks and polished in the stone cutter into chiseled bricks. It can be also used in a wall to turn it into a polished blackstone wall. The polished blackstone can also be used to make buttons, slabs, stairs. The bricks can be turned into walls, stairs, and slabs. The black stone can be turned into slabs, stairs, and walls. In the Bastion Remnants, we found this. It is a gilded blackstone. It can be mined with any pickaxe, and it'll drop itself. It can be smelted in a furnace to get gold ingots. Next up, we have two new blocks that can be obtained with Nether Bricks. There's a cracked Nether Bricks that can be used by smelting Nether Bricks, and chiseled Nether Bricks that can be obtained from a stone cutter. Next up, we have a really subtle change, but that I really like. It's the Quartz Bricks. They can be crafted in a stone cutter. Next up, we have a new ore. It's the Ancient Debris. It can be mined with any of these pickaxes, and if you smelt it in a furnace or blast furnace, it'll give you ancient netherite scraps. If you combine 4 netherite scraps with 4 gold ingots, it'll give you a netherite ingot. If you combine any enchanted or unenchanted diamond tool with one netherite ingot inside of a smithing table, it'll give you a netherite tool and keep all its enchants. Next up, we have a fairly new block. It is a chain block. It can be crafted like so. And something cool to note is the soul lantern and normal lantern texture is perfectly aligned with the chain. Next up, we have a lodestone. It can be crafted like this, and it can be used as a waypoint. If you right click it with a compass, it'll give you a lodestone compass that'll point to that lodestone at all time, unlike the normal compass that'll point to your spawn point. Or to the world spawn point, I guess. If you break the lodestone compass is not going to know where to point, and it'll go insane. And it doesn't work if you replace it. You'll still have to right click again to rebind it. Next up, we have another pretty cool block. It is a target block. It's crafted like this, and it'll give off a different power level when it's connected to redstone, depending on how close to the center you hit. So if you hit here, it'll only give a little power. If you hit it in the middle, it'll give off a higher light level. There's an advancement for hitting the bullseye, and here it is. Next up, we have the Cryin Obsidian. It is used to craft that block over there, but more onto that later. And it is obtained when trading with this guy. He's the piglin. Can I get an adult, please? He is the piglin, and you can barter with him with gold ingots. If you keep him in the overworld for too long, he is gonna eventually turn into a zombified piglin. That is the equivalent of a zombie pigman. Here he is. On the other hand, there's another new mob, the Hoglin, and same thing happens to it in the overworld. If you keep it out for too long, it will die. But before it'll turn into a Zoglin, If you do kill it, it'll drop leather and pork chops. If you have fire aspect, it'll give you cooked pork chops. But let's wait for it to turn into the Zoglin. And here it is, the Zoglin. When you kill it, the Zoglin will only drop rotten flesh. Next up, we have this block, but it's safer to use it in the Nether. So when we pop through to the Nether, we can see that this respawn anchor is crafted with the Cryin Obsidian, and when we place it down, it is unpowered. We have to right-click it with glowstone, and it'll increase, and this will increase. The higher it gets, the higher light level it will give off. If you right-click it, it'll set your respawn points, and when I kill myself, I'm gonna respawn right next to it, and it is gonna lose a quarter of its charges, and we need to right-click it to reload it. An observer can detect when this decreases power, so you could make an automatic refiller. Back here to the overworld, and just to prove to you what happens when you right-click it in the overworld when it's powered, it explodes. Same thing happens in the Nether. Next up, we have the Nether Gold ore. It can be mined with any tool, and when mined, it'll drop a random amount of gold nuggets. This doesn't depend on the tool you're using. It is just completely random. Right, moving on from that, we have another object that can be obtained by bartering. It is the Soul Speed Enchantment, and it ranges from 1 to 3, and it increases your speed when walking on these two blocks: Soul Sand and Soul Soil. There's another music disc called Pig Step, and it is the only one not from C418. Next up, we have another new mob. It is called the Strider. It spawns in lava lakes only in the Nether, and it can be ridden with a saddle. You can control it by crafting this, the warped fungus on a stick. You saw the recipe right here. And it sometimes can spawn in jockeys of up to 3 Striders. It rides just like a lava boat, and whenever it gets out of the water, you can see its texture changes, and that's because it gets cold. It'll also slow down until it hits lava again. You do gotta be careful when dismounting it, because it may just drop you into lava. Next up, we have a tweak to the structure block. This is pre 1.15. You used to be able to only select structures that were 32 by 32 by 32 maximum. In the new updates, in post 1.16 updates, we have a new maximum that is minus 48. That is 48, 48, 48. So it's just a small tweak, and I personally really like it because I do select pretty large areas. I've made a video on structure blocks, linked in the description. The 1.16 came with a lot of bug fixes. I'm not going to get into those, but one of the most notable bug fixes is the 0 tick farm. It has officially been nerfed. So in pre 1.16 updates, we used to be able to move this block at 0 ticks, and that was going to cause an update in the bamboo, causing it to grow faster. It could be also used with cactus, sugarcane, and all those crops there that don't need to be placed on farmland. But as you can see, if we try testing it out in the 1.16, it's just going to break the crop. Another bug fix that personally left me there was a bit of a letdown is Mojang has now nerfed AFK fish farms. You'll no longer get treasures from fishing in AFK fish farms. Another change that I really like is Redstone. Redstone will no longer look like a dot when placed alone. Its hitbox has been changed, and it'll now point in all 4 directions. Another change is when it goes up a block. There wasn't in the previous versions there wasn't a hitbox here, but now it has been changed so you can hit here to break it. Another change, I think it's the last change to Redstone, is instead of having just a full hitbox, it has a corner cut out. Right, on that note, it's time to end today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed and see you tomorrow.